What is up, everybody? This is Recap Rewind. I'm J-Lag.
And I'm NB.
And we are recapping and reviewing American Horror Story Season 8, Episode 4. And it's called Could It Be
Satan?
Satan?
What?
Moo.
And don't forget, guys, stick around for the ending because we are going to go through our recap roundups, our MVPs, our best moments, our best lines. And I have so many best lines, so stick around for that.
Absolutely. And for anybody who is just joining us for the first time, thanks for listening. Make sure you guys comment and subscribe to the channel. And for our returning listeners, thanks for coming back. And I hope you guys enjoy the episode.
So, right off the start, what did you think? Did you like it?
Yeah, of course I loved it. It was everything I wanted plus more. It's just the season is just getting better and better. I didn't realize how much I missed the Coven season until this episode. And seeing all the witches back again and seeing everybody together just made my day. I was so happy to see everybody. And it was just it was a good episode. It was a lot of setup and it was a lot of backtracking and a lot of
it was a lot of setup, but I felt also it was a lot of storytelling and just kind of explaining to us what's been going on. I feel like the origin stories are sort of there in this episode, so it explains quite a bit.
Yeah,
and
it's
last
super
week
crucial.
It jumps all over the place again, a lot of different flashbacks. It was really, really exciting. And guys, honestly, I can always tell when I'm liking an episode because I look at my clock or whatever and it's the episode's done. I'm like, yo, it flies by. That's when you know it's really, really good.
Yeah. And I do remember that about Coven specifically, that season specifically. Yeah. Because everything was so dark in Murder House and all the other ones. They have a level of intrigue, obviously, but Coven specifically was a season where I would watch it and it would be such a ride from beginning to end that you would end the episode being it's done. And you're right. Exactly. That's exactly how I felt at the end of this episode. I'm like, wow, we just finished that off. I want more. So
okay, let's get into it. So we start off with Michael and Miss Mead from last week.
Right. But this is the OG Miss Mead. This is not the robot version of Miss Mead.
Right.
So it kind of tells her origin story, and he does say something that was really interesting, and I'm sure it's going to backtrack even more because as we remember in the first season, he was being taken care of by Jessica Lange's character,
right?
When he was a baby,
right?
And he says she found me. Well, he's explaining this to Miss Mead, and he's like, she found me, and he's talking about the real Miss Mead. So you're still wondering how he was found and what age he was found at. Was he found on the streets? There was nothing that was really explained as to him being an adult. So I wonder if we're going to go even further back into his teenage years and even before that. I don't know.
I'm sure we're going to get to see the moment where she sort of takes over or where she collects him from, or what happened to this kid when he was a kid, basically, because we do see him when he's sort of a teenager. So obviously what happens from that time when Jessica Lange's character gets or dips or whatever happens to her to this moment.
Yeah.
Right. So basically we see their life together when she was taking care of him, the real Miss Mead, right?
Right. Yeah.
And we obviously see that she's a Satan believer, she's all about the dark,
Satanist,
she's all about that. She makes him say it was
a pretty comedic moment because he was basically saying the grace before meals, which if you're a Christian or whatever, you would know how it goes, and it's grace before meals, bless us the Lord, but he's doing the dark demon version, so it's
and
bless
even
us
the
our
way he
dark
says
Lord and these thy
and even the way he says, he doesn't say amen at the end, he goes Nima, because it's the opposite.
Which is the opposite.
It was just
so weird.
It was just kind of just showing you, I guess, he's also been raised with those values too, right?
Those satanic values.
Those values.
Yeah, whatever. No shade against Satanists, I guess,
but then something really interesting happens, because then it sort of cuts out of their kind of cute origin story, and then it cuts back to her as a robot, and she's like, "Hail Satan!" And then he's not quite. He's but I appreciate the sentiment. And I was so I was like, wait, what? I'm why is he saying that? Because we've been out here being he's the devil, he's Satan, or he could be. And like for him to say that, I was like, ooh, I'm like, is he implying like that he's something else? And then sure enough, like the whole episode sort of like unravels, right? Right. And the title of the episode is obviously like very, you know, could it be Satan? So I was like, is he questioning what we've all been expecting him to be, kind of, you know?
Like the devil incarnate. But of course, at the same time, I think there is so much more to him as a character and what his powers are. We'll get into it a little bit later. But yeah, essentially, he's not like a demon. I mean, who knows? Honestly, we don't really know for sure. But for one, I just really quickly before we move on from Mrs. Mead, I think it was really interesting that she literally was a Satanist, like as the human version of herself. Yeah. Like I just thought it was hilarious that she ended up with a kid.
There must be some connection there. There must be some connection. Like
yeah.
I don't know.
Like he must have been given to her. For sure.
I think by someone. She must have known someone that like something must have happened.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we'll move on from there. So yeah, he's a robot and he's like, I made you in the likeness of her because like she connects me to my past and you know, I wanted some help like later on. And she's so happy. Like she's so happy to help him out again. She's happy to have her memories back. And then suddenly he's like, someone is here. And she was like, I don't know what you're talking about. Everybody's dead. And he's like, nope, not anymore.
Not anymore. And then
we get our moment with all the fucking witches.
So the witches start waking up.
Oh, God. Yeah.
And Coco's like already lit, like as she always is.
Like lit like her hair. Like lit. I was dying at her hair in this moment because like her hair was on fire and she was like freaking the F out because she was like, I don't want to die again. I can't believe Brock tried to kill me. Like it was such a moment for her. But yeah, I just like she's so funny. I love her. I love her character. I love Leslie Grossman. Like she's just the comedic relief, obviously, in this group of people. And then Mallory is like losing her
Mallory's
fucking
just, like,
mind.
Confused. She's like, who are you guys? Like, what is happening? Who am I? Like she.
But then they are giving. But like to her defense, like they didn't really they do explain it this whole episode. They spent an entire episode explaining to us what happened to her. So so Cordelia says that we had to put identity spells on all of them, right? So they forgot about who they were to protect them. Witches, so we still haven't gotten that far by the end of the episode. We don't go as far as to why they had to have protection in the first place. Right. My assumption is it has to do with Michael trying to kill them all, probably. But it's we're not that far by the end of the episode. But anyway, so so you find that out a little bit later. But she says, you're really special and we need you guys to help with what's happening with the world right now.
Right. So then it's interesting because right then, what's her face? The Oprah girl. Dinah Stevens. So she comes in and she's just like cheese at everyone. She's like,
she's got so much attitude. Why you guys brought me
back? I don't owe you guys shit. I don't want to be a part of this. I'm not a witch.
I don't owe y'all shit
to do anything. I was just like, wait, why are you hating this so much? Like, what's going on? Like, what's up with
what's
that?
your issue?
Yeah.
Well, considering that she had like almost stricken a deal with Michael in the beginning of last episode, I can imagine why she doesn't want to side with all the witches, but I don't know what her shit is, like, basically.
Yeah.
Then again, who knows? Not to like make it about race, but really like the Coven season talked about how there were certain witches that did voodoo, and then there were like the high class white witches who like did the regular magic.
It's true.
So
and, like, even
who
Madison,
knows? Like maybe there's
Madison
like
makes a point because she's like shut up, like you're doing all your backwards like voodoo shit anyway. So she
like reverse voodoo.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe there's something to do with the fact that there's like the drama. We already knew that there was drama within Coven, so like I can see that happening, but I don't know like in the end of days why you would want to turn your back on like your girls, you know what I mean? Yeah. But anyway, whatever. Yeah. I'm sure that will all play itself out later.
So all that drama is happening, and then basically they're all interrupted because Michael is like at the top of the staircase and he's like, hello bitches.
He's like WTF.
Yeah, because they're basically saying like we're gonna beat him, and he's like, how can you beat me? Like I've already won. Like I'm the strongest one out here. Right. And they're kind of
But then Cordelia kind of doesn't necessarily say we want to beat you. She's like, we can help each other. Like, we're all here to kind of help each other through the next moment.
But I think isn't that
kind of what she says?
I think they want to surpass him. Like, they don't want to, they're not on the same team as him, and they know that he's another strong, like, figure. So, like, I feel like she means, like, they have to band together as sisters, but, like, inevitably, like, it's gonna be, like, to go against him.
I see.
And, like, especially from how the episode ends, like, it's obviously gonna be that, right?
Right. Yeah, fair point. But yeah, anyway, they do have history. They obviously have history beyond that, which I'm sure it'll delve into later as the season goes on. But anyway, we see, like, so it's Myrtle, Madison, Cordelia, and like the original, and then the 3 other girls, and the whole episode, like the beginning ends off with Myrtle saying, "I always thought the world was going to end with fire and ice, not witches and warlocks." And it's like,
which is like a
okay,
huge
it's setting
line
it up for the whole season. Yeah. So then the opening credits start, and sure enough, once again, my eyeball goes straight to the fucking guest stars.
Oh, I didn't see it this time.
This, like, I honestly need to, like, hover that bottom part of the screen as I'm watching the opening scene because I got distracted again, and Gabrielle Sidibe's name came up, and so did Thaisa Farmiga's name, and I got so excited, I, like, started screaming in my living room. I was like, yes.
So it basically opens up to I believe it's like a flashback, right?
It was 3 years before, it says, like, 3 years ago
or whatever, and it opens up, and we're in the same outpost that we've been in, but it's like a warlock coven this time. There's like a bunch of little, like, guys up in there, like, doing some, like, witchcraft.
boys up in there.
But so it looks like the set, like, it looks like the complete same outpost that we've seen all season.
Right, which it is, because the one thing that Miss Venable does say in episode 1 is it used to be a boys' school, but she fails to mention that it was a magical boys' school. That's a bit of a detail that you missed out on, girl. So so it is the real one. I didn't actually honestly realize it until we saw it from the outside because I'm an idiot. But so it's the same outpost.
So basically what's happening,
and there's like there's a bunch of warlocks.
Yeah, and they're all doing, like, this test and whatever. But what ends up happening is, like, the leader of, like, that little, like, room, the teacher, I guess, he goes to see Ariel, I think, who's, like, the Grand Chancellor of, I guess, like, their coven, maybe. And the guy's like, yo, like, real talk. He's like, we gotta watch this video. He's like, something just, like, came out from the police department. We need to watch this, like, right now.
Can I just really quickly shout out to the entire new cast of warlocks and how they're all basically amazing Ryan Murphy universe alumni. Like, we have a guy from Pose, I think his name is Billy Porter, and then we have randomly Bradley Wong, who is from Jurassic Park, if you don't remember.
I don't remember.
But he's the scientist from Jurassic Park. And then the Filipino, like, dad from American Crime Story was, like, the main guy. And then we have Cheyenne Jackson, obviously.
Which is, like, my husband. So basically they
so I was just, like, super excited about the cast. Anyway,
and of course, you know, like, he's gonna make the sickest, like, crew for, like, the warlocks, like, for sure, right?
For the warlocks, best crew.
So they watch this video, and it's basically, like, a security camera footage from the LAPD, and it's Michael Langdon in this, like, room with this officer who's, like, interrogating him, and then, like, he beats his shit.
Like, beating the shit out of him. Yeah, he beats
the shit out of Michael. And Michael, like, just, like, goes into the corner, and all of a sudden you see, like, the officer, like, freaking fly across the room, like, gets, like, pushed to the ceiling. His, like, limbs crack and break.
Oh, God, it's so scary.
And then, like, his head explodes.
And then his head explodes.
Yeah, like, and then his head explodes. So, like, cool gift.
He's like, help me. Boom. It's like, wow.
Yeah. So then, like, they're kind of, like, stuck in that, like, the worlds are like, yo, this guy has obviously powers. Like, who is this kid? We need to, like, find him. You know, he might.
They do mention they do mention that there's one side of them that were like, oh, it could be, he could be evil. He could be possessed by a demon. Well, that's the thing,
right? Like, Cheyenne Jackson's character, and I love that he was in there because he kept saying, guys, like, yes, he could be strong, but, like, he's obviously, like, bringing some, like, next level dark, like, powers through. Right. Like, yeah, we want to get lit, but, like, we need to be careful because everyone else everyone else was like, it's like we have the new like alpha male, like, he's gonna, like, own the world, like, so very interesting, like, conversation too, right? How, like, the rest of them
very
were
interesting
so
conversation
excited, and he was like, wait, let's wait a minute and, like, think this through.
Yeah, and as we go through the rest of the episode, I'm sure we'll talk about it later, but like it was very interesting seeing the other side of a storyline that we normally see women go through. But we'll talk about that later on. But like so it was just interesting seeing the gist
of this. The whole moment also was explaining that like they don't have a supreme, but they have like an alpha, which is essentially would be stronger than any supreme. Right.
So they're like, there was a prophecy that speaks of an alpha who's going to be stronger than the supreme, who's going to eventually bring the warlocks up to a like the new ruler status, essentially. Right. Because witches in this particular world are stronger than warlocks. And I was like, yes, of course, Ryan Murphy's going to make all the witches fucking stronger than the warlocks. Yeah. Because he's like female power.
Of course.
What did you think of that particular dynamic before? Because I'm sure I'm going to touch up on it as the episode goes on.
Yeah, I want to talk about it more when we talk more about Michael, because I love that whole like storyline. But I want to like
the dynamic.
I want to talk about it when we like bring in Michael into the story, because I find it like very interesting.
Cool. But yeah, it was a very interesting theme this episode. So everybody's just talking about the fact that Michael might be able to have the power to exceed that of the witches, and they're all getting really excited, and they want him to perform the 7 wonders, which is going to prove that he can be the next supreme.
Right. So the first thing they have to do is Ariel's like, I'm gonna go visit him in prison. I'm basically gonna get him out.
So he goes to visit Michael, and then it cuts to him saying, well,
because you're wondering like, why is Michael in jail? Yeah, like I was wondering that too. I was like, wait, well, why is he in jail? And then it cuts to another like flashback scene with Michael and Miss Mead
at
they're at like a butcher, and Miss Mead's all up in there being like, can you give me a goat head? I want a goat head. And the butcher's like, no, like, crazy lady, like, I'm not gonna give you a goat head.
Yeah.
And she kind of like storms off, whatever. She's like cheesed, and then he's like, yo, that woman's crazy, your mom's crazy, whatever. And then Michael's like, what, like, you're gonna pay for this or whatever? He gets like pissed.
Yeah. And then he says,
and then he like does his like demonic thing, and then like the knives that like the butcher's cutting it with is like, it goes like into his body and like kills him.
Yeah, it kills him right away.
So I guess they found like Michael and they put him in jail for that.
I was like, damn. Well, I hope.
Yeah, like what? Like what was the evidence with that? Like you didn't kill him.
So
then it comes back to the jail, and then it cuts back to the prison, and then Ariel's like, yo, I'm gonna take you out. He's like, I can save you. I'm a warlock. Like, you clearly have powers. And Michael's like intrigued, and he's like, come with me. He's like, I'll show you, like, whatever. Like, I'll hone like your skills.
I can show you the world. Like, it was like. Whatever. But, okay, so this is the one thing that I am not really loving about his story so far is Michael seems very impressionable in the story right now.
I love that, though. I love that part. I love that. And I wanted to say this, like, after. I love that he was the underdog in this episode. I love that he started off us being like, yo, who is this guy? Like, Michael's crazy. But in this episode, we got to see sort of like really his origin story, and like that he was an underdog. He kind of came in this like, you know, on the totem, like low on the totem pole, and like he's working his way up. He's obviously very gifted.
He's gifted, but there's no.
But he doesn't know what to do with it, and that's totally fine.
But at the same time, like, we don't know if his powers right now are good or evil, but he just doesn't. He seemed more good in this episode, and then
because he's still new to it all, right?
Made bad decisions, which I get. Yeah. But at the same time, like, we have to remember that in season 1, as a baby, he literally killed his babysitter. So do we question whether or not he like has evil in him from the get-go, or
he definitely has evil in him from the get-go, and like clearly he still has evil in him. Like, he's just a newbie. But he's a fucked up newbie. He killed a guy in the freaking butcher shop. Like, he's still like, he's still messed up. Like, he's just a newbie like, in the warlock world, you know?
He's like a dark version of Harry Potter, basically.
Yeah, basically.
So anyway, so he gets out of jail and he's about to leave. This is the part that like of all the moments in this episode, this is the one moment that like still confuses me.
Yeah, I didn't really understand it.
So Mrs. Mead is like down the street, like she's like she like watches him leave.
Yeah, like he escapes the jail with Ariel, and then like she's just there at the parking lot, and she's like, "My son, I am so proud of you."
She's like, "Bye."
I'm like, "Where did you come from? Like, were we just waiting there the whole time? Like, I don't understand."
You were waiting there this whole time, and you did it. Like, you don't even like hug him to say goodbye.
I know, and then he like,
so
and
confused.
then I thought maybe he's like, "Oh, I'm like maybe they fought or something," but then he like smiles at her and like nods, and then he like dips.
He was like, "Oh, you crazy woman," and then he like she like disappears.
I'm like, I don't get that the relationship.
Like they literally didn't even. He didn't even say like, "I'll be back in an hour." Like, "I'll see you later." Like he literally just like got into the car and left. It was such a whack moment. Anyway, whatever. So that happens, and then it cuts to the bunker. So then we find out that where they were, like, that's like the confirmation that where they were is like the actual bunker that
and it's really cool because like they show them getting to the outpost, and like it's obviously before the apocalypse, so like you can see like it's like grass and like blue skies, and like it's just this really cool like structure that we've seen as like the entrance of the outpost.
And as we know, NB
like,
loves seeing like
underground,
the outside of the world.
Yeah. Well, no, it's just cool to see also like where did this thing exist before the apocalypse? And he was like, we had like a legit house. Yeah, he's like, we had a legit house, but like it got burned down. He's like, so now we had to like go underground and like basically hide.
And he did say it's because the witches became public, right? He does kind of low-key blame the fact that Cordelia went public. And then everybody kind of like went off on like the warlocks or whatever, and they like burned down the house. So anyway, so the next like big, so they go into the thing and everyone like greets him. Everyone's like, yeah, it's like welcome, like you're like our brother now, cool. But then he goes through like a series of tests, right? Like right in the beginning, they're like, okay, well let's test your power. It gets to that, let's do an assessment essentially. So they tell him, like the panel of the like OG warlocks, they're like, there's like a scale of like 1 to 4, and they're like, real talk, like none of us are even close to being a 4. We're like 2 or 3. Like Billy Porter's like, I'm a 6 when I'm drunk. Like he was just like sassy. I was like, okay, whatever that means. But so then they're like, so like we're gonna test you to see like if you're even a 1 or whatever, you know? Right. Yeah. So this is the part that kind of made me a little, like, once again, I know we're talking about magic and we're talking about witches and warlocks, but even in that world, I felt like it was a little unbelievable how incredibly strong he was. Like, incredibly strong. Like, that was like a big reach. Like, and I definitely thought like going into the test, I was like, oh, he's gonna get to the last test and he's gonna fail it. Like, that's what I thought. And also, wasn't like the supreme test like 8 freaking different like witchcraft like spells? This is like 3. Yeah, like this wasn't the actual supreme test, because the supreme test is the actual test to make sure or to see if he can actually be. No, I know, but like they're trying to act like it's like the equivalent or whatever, but it's clearly not. Like supreme was like way more legit. It's like the boy version of it. It's like the man version. So but some of the things that he had to do were pretty intense. Like, no, he had to find a book. It looked sick, but like you're right. Like I thought he would maybe get to the end and like fail it, because I'm like, there's no way he can pass everything. Like, that's crazy. But I was almost going to say that a lot of the things that he did do were kind of like next level versions of what the witches did in the Supreme test. He only did, he just didn't do as many. Like the girls had to find, if you remember in the Coven season, the girls had to find like certain items in the house. He literally reached into a mirror and found a book. Yes. And then when they were like, said that, like, they were like, the transmutation or whatever, when he had to like teleport and shit, like he was doing it so quickly. Like he didn't even he's definitely he literally found out that he was a warlock 2 minutes ago, and now he's able to control his power so well. Like, how would you even know to like reach into a mirror to like do that? Like, unless that's what they're trying to say, like he's like a next level like devil or whatever. But like he's not even just like next level. Like I would, if I was like, and I guess that's why Cheyenne Jackson's character, he does kind of glitch out, because he's like, yo, but this is scary how strong he is. It's really freaky. So basically the first test, he reaches into the mirror, he finds the item, he pulls it out, which was like a bonus like test, so he does that like with fine, he passes that. The second one, he's like, he transports himself around the room, cool, he passed that. The third one, which was like the biggest one, was like he was like change the climate in the room that we're like sitting in, and he does it obviously, and like he creates snow, but then like this like he goes into like his next level, and like his eyes turn white or black, I'm not even sure. It turned into a blizzard. And then it turns into like this crazy blizzard. The room's like freezing, and they're almost gonna die. Like the warlocks are like their asses are frozen. They're like almost like
gonna die of like whatever.
Yeah.
And then I don't know who puts a stop to it. Someone like screams. I think it's like the main guy Ariel. He's like, yo, stop. He's like, you're gonna kill us.
Yeah.
And then Michael wakes up, but like his nose is like bleeding like bad.
And he does say like, I didn't realize my power. Like,
yeah. So obviously right there you see it. Like Cheyenne Jackson's character too. He's like, I knew this kid was like crazy. Obviously, like who can do this?
I knew he was trouble.
So I don't know. Like, I don't know what that means.
You know what it is? The only thing I can think of is the fact that he probably has a direct connection to the devil. Or like
he must be like
some dark power who's telling him what to do.
Yeah.
Because like even with like all of the tests that they put him through, like how could he even think that to do any of that if there wasn't like a voice in his head being like, okay, close your eyes and like think of the book and like it'll come into your hands and like reach into the mirror. Like I don't know, there was just so many things that he did that if they didn't explain it, I know, like I said, I know we're talking about magic, I know we're talking about warlocks and witches,
but it's also like it's true because it's like whatever he's reaching into is well beyond his physical body, because clearly his physical body is like it's bleeding, it's like, you know, like it's breaking down, so and there has to be something more than just Michael Langdon in there.
Right, and as we see the episode go on, we see how the extent of his power is even beyond that, which is, it's like insane how much power he has. So anyway, this cuts to one of my favorite moments, which is the Coven soundtrack, and it was like la 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 la. Like I got so excited because it cuts to like the commercial after that whole moment.
I was so lit when that music started.
I was so excited. I wanted to cry. I was so happy. Yeah, so then it cuts to the house in New Orleans, and I was like, I'm so excited. And Zoe, our girl Zoe, is now like a next level teacher.
She's like a teacher,
So she's like teaching the girls how to change the color of petals on a flower. And sure enough, Mallory is in the class. And so Cordelia kind of comes by while they're doing this, and all the girls are changing the colors of the roses, and then she's like, look at this chick, she's gonna be like this next level witch, she has so much power. And then you see Mallory's flower turn blue, and then you see them all kind of fall to the ground, and Cordelia is like, I think she's like broken, like she's like I don't think that she's that great. And then
and then like, this bitch goes and makes the petals turn into butterflies,
like, okay,
and she basically makes like an ecosystem like in front of their freaking eyes. And then she's like, Cordelia's like, true.
I'm like, what a show off, like fucking Mallory.
And but then Mallory's face is so unfazed. She's like, I did that.
She's like, I did that. But she does say, I think she does imply, I think Zoe does say that she has a direct connection to the Salem witches. So like it must be lineage. Like some very strong lineage.
She's like an OG. She's an OG witch.
So in that moment, we
Myrtle Snow
get Myrtle Snow come through. And she's like, the Hawthorne School for Exceptional Men. So like we have this one, which is like for exceptional women. This one's like exceptional men. They called a meeting, and they're like, we have to go now to this place. I love Myrtle Snow. She's hilarious, and she like has like the funniest, like most sassiest lines, but they're like low key and like really smart. But the question that I had in this moment
she killed me this episode. She killed me with every single line she had. I was dying.
She was so funny. But how is she alive? Like, can we talk about that for a quick second?
At this point, you gotta suspend your belief and believe that they're gonna show you like how she came back. True. I'm sure they will. Because real talk, I forgot how Queenie died, and I forgot that she was dead.
Oh my gosh. Okay, we'll get to that later. But like,
you know what I mean? Like, I'm just suspending my belief and being like, okay, bring her back. Don't worry. Like,
But that's what I mean. Like, they explain 2 of the 3 witches that are dead.
But they'll get to it. Like, how much are they going to explain in one episode? Like, they'll maybe get to it. They got to stretch out the season. You know
like
what I mean?
But what I'm saying is like literally Myrtle Snow is like every freaking part of this episode, and like they haven't explained how she came back to life from being burned alive. So anyway, so she's there, and then she's like, okay, we have this meeting. They're all sitting down in the bunker now. And they have the whole council, and the council's like, listen, we think that we found this guy, he's like really cool and he's really like talented, we think that he could be the next Supreme. And all of the witches start laughing, like Zoe and
especially Cordelia. She's like, bah, 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 bah. She's like, no man has ever been supreme. She's like, are you kidding me?
Like they're like, boy, you guys are incapable. Like they're like a man. Like they literally are like, their minds are exploding. So
yeah, they're like, no man has ever been supreme, and like it's never gonna happen. Like, get real. And the guy's like, really, but why? Like just because it's never happened doesn't mean it can't happen. Like, he is strong.
It is really interesting though. There's a few parts of this conversation that really got me. One of the things is they've written into the script or the story that in this world, testosterone is an actual inhibitor to being connected to their powers. So like they're like, genetically men are not capable of being stronger than women,
right, which
I thought was amazing, because I'm like,
how that was actually that was my best line, but I want to save it for the end.
Okay, well, we can still save it, but I thought it was really cool to really explain. It was
definitely like it was very like guy versus girl, definitely like very strong, but I love the way they justified it.
And I also think it was like a great way to see the dynamic flipped around, because we never see the dynamic flip around. We always see the man being like, the man having that conversation and the man laughing in the woman's face. So to see the woman laughing in the man's face and to be like,
very powerful.
It was powerful, but at the same time, like very eerie, because it's almost one of those things where as you watch it, like in our particular society, seeing a man laugh in a woman's face about those moments and being like, oh, well, they got through it eventually and then they became like equal rights or whatever. But then you see it on this side and you're like, am I rooting for the man or am I rooting for the woman? Or
so
like,
it's funny that you're saying that, because I find that like Cordelia and Venable in this moment were like, they were like the same person basically. Like there's so many parallels between those two characters in this moment. Because Venable was so like, I have hold on this control. I'm not going to give up to no man. And Cordelia in that moment was kind of the same way. She was like, LOL, no way, like never. This is never gonna happen. Exactly. So yeah.
And that's the thing. Ariel basically says, just because it hasn't happened before doesn't mean that it's never gonna happen.
Right.
So it's very much that flipped narrative. And it was just a very interesting thing to see, because
they're asking for an opportunity and she's not giving them an opportunity, which is exactly what's happened to women for freaking forever. So anyways, crazy, so that sort of leads into Cordelia. Like, I think one of the other warlocks like questions her and he's like, you left like your girls behind. Like, what kind of leader are you? What kind of supreme like leaves like, you know, their witches behind? And she goes, well, I actually didn't leave her behind. And then it kind of like,
First he says like, we want to do the Seven Wonders really badly, and she was like, we can't do it. I'm not gonna let like a young man like die because of that particular test. Like, I already lost Missy Day for that test, and then he starts kind of going in on her abilities to like, the fact that she lost so many of her other witches.
Yeah, and so that kind of leads into like her story with Queenie.
Yeah.
You know, because he questions Queenie. He's like, you didn't even like save Queenie. And then she was like,
and then they even said, they're like, and like even Billy Porter's character was like, yeah, like the girl, of course it was like the black one that you left behind.
Yeah. And then she's like, no, she's like, I'm going to spill the tea right now in a flashback sequence. So here you go. And then it kind of just like flashbacks to like, yeah, like I totally forgot that Queenie was dead and that she was stuck in the Hotel Cortez. She got
killed by one of the ghosts in the hotel. So
sad.
Yeah, I know. I remember when that happened, and I was like, they didn't just kill Queenie though. That's so fucked. And I can't believe they brought it all the way back around to this moment. So yeah, essentially she's stuck in this hotel room.
Yeah, she's playing cards with freaking James March over there, Evan Peters' character, and they're just like stuck in that same room. They're just playing cards like over and over again. And then Cordelia comes. She comes through the doors, and she's like, "Hey, I'm here to save you. Like, let's go." And Queenie's like, yeah. She's like, never gonna see you again. Goodbye.
Yeah.
And James March is like, LOL, like, yeah, right, like, nice try. And of course, when she tries to take her out of the front doors, like, she doesn't leave. She can't like leave. She's stuck.
And then she's like, I stayed there for like a month or whatever, and it never worked.
Yeah, like, the sequence is like just on a loop.
But it just seems like she didn't try hard enough. Like, I feel like she really didn't try.
I think it just looked like that because of the way like they just kind of shot it. I was like, girl, try harder. Like, I don't know, like wheel her out in a freaking grocery cart, like do something else. Like you're just like pulling her hand, like you're like she didn't really try.
Like let me.
And then they're just like sitting on the bed crying. I'm like, okay, but did you even try though?
Like let me see like some sweat going down your brow a little bit, you know?
Yeah,
like,
they were crying, and then Cordelia's like, girl, I tried my best. She's like, I can't take you out, like that's.
And then Queenie was like. Queenie's like, honestly, girl, like just leave me here. Like the girls need you back at home. Like just go.
Yeah.
So
that
yeah,
was,
it was kind of a sad moment.
Story.
But anyway, so anyway, that's what happens there, and then it cuts back to the council, and they're like, please, like, let's just like do this, like, next test. And she like loses her mind
and she
again.
still like refuses. She's like, no, this is not happening, and this conversation is over with.
And he's like, but why though? And she's like, I'm the fucking supreme. Like, don't fucking talk back to me.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to Michael in his room.
Right.
And he's drawing the Hotel Cortez. Like, and his eyes are like white or whatever. And he's drawing the Hotel Cortez. And then sure enough, he shows up at the Hotel Cortez.
Right.
And so it shows Queenie like playing the cards. And she's like, this is the 15,000th time that I've won against like James March.
Yeah.
And then he comes to the door and he's like, I'm here to take you. Because you're because your girl couldn't take you out of here.
Right. And as soon as he walks in, Evan Peters' character looks up and down to Michael, and he's like, ooh. He was very intrigued by him. He's like, this guy is like a very like thing presence. Like
he's
was
like,
just
I like your energy.
Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, it's gonna work this time, obviously. And then Queenie's like, whatever. She's like, I'll be right back. She's like, whatever. Because she didn't want to take his hand at first. He was like, come with me. And she's like, no, I'm not going to come with you. Like, who the F are you?
Yeah.
And then James was like, just take his hand, because like if you don't, he's probably gonna make you take his hand.
Yeah.
And then sure enough, like she's like, okay, BRB, like I'll be like, you know.
Yeah.
And then he totally takes her out. Like he takes her through the doors, and I love that like just after they left the room, James March like takes her cards.
And he's like, I guess it's gonna be solitaire for me.
Yeah, like she's not coming back. Like he knew. It's so creepy. It's so eerie when so she leaves. So like they dip. And then right before like the scene ends, he's like, we got to get one more person.
Yeah, we have one more to get to.
Yeah.
And then it cuts to another great scene with Madison, and she's in a department store, and there's a long ass lineup for returns, and she's the only cashier. And we realized at this moment, I know that I realized that it was her Hal, because we know that Madison died.
Yeah. I think when they
like
said, "Are you Lindsay Lohan?" I was like, "Oh my God, this is like her purgatory. This is her hell." being
the best thing
confused
ever.
For Lindsay Lohan,
and like feeling like insignificant. Like it was just so funny.
Yeah. So then basically, like she gets shafted. She gets put to like the back to fold like the towels, and she's just like hating her life basically.
And then Michael comes in.
And then
obviously.
Who shows up? Yeah, Michael rolls up.
And then he's like, hey, I'm here to take you away. And she was like, what's the catch? You're not supposed to be here. And then he's like, I'm just going to take you. And then she's like, do I have to like suck your dick or something? Like, what do you want me to do? Like,
he's like, LOL, no.
And then she's like, but can I? Because like I need the D like really badly. It was a pretty annoying. Good. She's
it's just her. She plays it so well. Like, and just like her in freaking Scream Queens, like I feel like they're the same character.
Yeah, I think she was a lot more funny and bearable actually this episode. Like it seems like hell made her a lot less bitchy.
Yeah, we didn't
like
yeah.
She didn't seem like a total biatch this episode.
So then, like, as she's talking to Michael and trying to, like, suck his D, freaking Queenie's, like, in the corner. She's like, damn, a hole even in the afterlife.
I love their exchange, though, because like,
I love their dynamic. They're
literally
so
ran
cute.
Toward her and, like, gave
she,
her a hug. She, like,
gave her the biggest
Queenie's
hug.
Like, don't fucking touch me.
Queenie's like, so ew, get off me. She's like, what are you doing? She's like, I tried to convince Michael not to come and get you.
And she was like, she's like, where were you, Queenie? And Queenie's like, I was stuck with, like, a bunch of white losers like you. She was like, they were more annoying than you were.
It was just such a nice reunion. Very cute.
Really, really cute. I was so happy to see them all together. And then we get like our final slow motion moment. So it's them leaving. So it's Cordelia and everybody leaving the bunker. And we got some like music playing in the background. And then we have the other side of it of Michael and Madison and Queenie on the outside, and so they meet each other as soon as the witches leave the bunker. They see each other, and then Fiona like faints. Not Fiona, sorry, Cordelia faints.
Cordelia, yeah.
So that was a moment,
and they run to her, like Queenie and like Madison. They run to Cordelia.
It was actually hilarious because
they're like,
Queenie,
what the F? Like
Queenie like waves, and then she's like so happy to see her sisters. She like waves, she runs, and she's so happy. And then when Cordelia faints, like Madison like rolls her eyes and then she like slowly walks toward her. I was like, she's such
like
a
I
bitch.
missed them. Like in that moment I was like, I miss these effing girls. Like F you, Michael. I don't even care about you right now. I miss these girls.
I know. Like the sisterhood is
the
like
episode
so
ends. Yeah, the episode ends like that, like Cordelia fainting. Why do you think she fainted? So like, obviously I know why, but like, girl, chill.
So originally I thought that it was just because she was like shocked, which I probably would faint too if like that happened. Yeah. But at the same time, it just brings me back to what happened with Fiona, her mom, when she started to lose her supreme power. So
is that what happened to her?
She started. It's not that she fainted when Cordelia, but she does allude to the fact that Cordelia essentially sucked all of her supreme powers out of her body, so she became less powerful.
Yeah.
So I definitely feel like that has something to do with it. I feel like she's a little gagged that Michael was able to accomplish this. And we all have to remember that this is 3 years ago, so this is not even the present time. So like powers have changed, drama has ensued, like so much has happened since then. So I really am looking forward to seeing how the rest of like how it got to the present point and like what happened in between. I'm very excited to see.
Did you by any chance get to see like the trailer for next week?
No, I haven't seen it yet.
It's like it was like so fast at the end of the episode. Yeah.
No, I didn't see it. Was it good?
Yeah, because it really gives like it tells you basically what happens to Cordelia.
Oh, okay.
In the future, like in the present now, it kind of shows you like a really big thing, and I was like, why would they show that in the freaking preview? I didn't understand. But yeah.
Okay, so anyway, we'll wait till next episode.
Yeah.
To talk about it. But yeah, so that's the end of the episode.
Yeah, it was jam-packed, but we got through it.
Yeah.
It was so effing good. I'm so glad like the girls are coming back. My only question was, why, like, you know, when Cordelia comes back in last week's episode, she comes back with Madison and what's her face? What's Francis Conroy's name? Myrtle. Where's Thing? Like, how come Zoe doesn't come back with her?
I don't know. I guess we're gonna find that out, because I definitely feel like either something happens to
like
Zoe.
Something happens, yeah.
I definitely feel like something was gonna happen to Zoe in that moment, in that standoff. But I didn't want to, like, who knows? They could all be in the house somewhere else. Like, I don't know.
Well, you know what? It's actually like true, because I'm sure they're gonna lose some sisters, because that's why they come back to the outpost to be like, we need more sisters, you know?
Right.
And especially after the apocalypse, like, I'm sure people are gonna just die.
Yeah, for sure. It will really suck if Zoe's like, I was like alive for 5 minutes and I became a teacher and now I'm dead again.
But that's
like,
I don't know.
We'll see. There's always like I always say, whenever they have a large cast, there's always room to like kill people off. I just hate seeing the witches die, because like I just love the witches. But I guess like Misty Day's not coming back, aka Lily Rabe. Like,
I don't think she's coming back.
That sucks. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I guess they can't bring everyone back, because just like you were saying, like, I think if they bring everyone back, everyone deserves like a little mini origin story, or like at least like a mini catch up to like what they were doing in the last like few years.
What they've been up to.
So like if they had to bring everyone back, like how are they gonna explain that all, you know?
Yeah. Like, taken if Michael brings back Misty Day, like Cordelia's gonna turn into ashes. Like, there's like, what the hell?
Yeah.
She's gonna be like, there's nothing for me to do here anymore.
Yeah.
But that being said, like, before we finish off the entire episode, you can definitely see that Michael has he has extreme power that definitely
he has an extreme
makes
power,
me
but I
question how much power like Cordelia has to control him.
I think Mallory is like going to be the key to like everything. So I'm not worried that, I'm not worried. The witches are going to come through.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think that Mallory has to have a special something in her, because she was able to turn flowers into butterflies. So there's something there for sure. Yeah. All right, let's get into our recap roundups.
Recap roundups. Best moment.
My best moment was, I think, the ending like walkout scene, like the slow motion, and then seeing like the two sides, like Cordelia walking out of the outpost, and then like Michael and Queenie and Madison like walking to the outpost, and just seeing those two like groups walking together, and then her passing out. I was like, this is so freaking badass. Yeah. I just never really expected Michael to play the underdog in this episode, and I think he kind of comes through for the witches, at least for now in this episode, and that was like really cool to see. So just seeing like all that come together like at the end in that moment. He was like, here are your girls, I impressed you. He's like, now I'm gonna be your villain again, you know what I mean? Like, but it was really cool to see that.
My best moment, actually, like, to be completely honest, that was my favorite moment as well. Like, just seeing them all together. You know how I feel about the witches, you know how I feel about Coven. It's been my favorite season forever, so I just got really excited to know that all the girls were going to come back together, and just seeing them all like dressed in black, and even seeing Queenie with her little bow and her hair, like everyone just looked so cute together, and I was just happy to see them. I also really did love Madison's like hell moment. I think that was really funny to see, and just seeing Emma Roberts. She wasn't as like unbearably annoying this episode, but we'll see how it goes. Like, it's only the first episode back, so we'll see.
WTF moment.
My WTF moment, I didn't really have like a shocking moment this episode, but I just wrote down like Michael's origin story with Miss Mead, and then the Hotel Cortez moment with Queenie, and then Madison's like hell sequence as well, just because it didn't really shock me, but I was kind of like, oh cool, okay.
I didn't really have like a specific moment where I was like, yo. I mean, other than the fact that Michael like killed the butcher really fast, I was like, yo, that was crazy. But I will say that my WTF moment is definitely him being able to control and hone his power so easily during the assessment. I just thought that was, and I obviously talked about it to great lengths, so I won't get into it again, but I just thought it was too unrealistic to believe that he had that much control over something that he just learned about 2 minutes ago. Like, you either have been lying to everybody or you have been practicing. Like, I don't know.
MVP.
My MVP is going to be Michael Langdon, just because I think he came through this episode, whether or not he's evil. Obviously he's evil, but like for this episode at least, he brought the girls back together. So whatever he's doing, it's working, because freaking Cordelia couldn't do it. So
yeah, for sure. In all honesty, he is also my MVP because I don't think there was any big standout this episode. I think there's definitely a Michael Langdon episode to kind of show his origin story,
and like I said, like I did love how he kind of comes into this as the underdog, because I never expected to see that story in this. I thought he was like the captain of all of this and the leader of all this, and like everything like he just had in control. So seeing him as like kind of the newbie and the rookie coming into it, I just never expected that. So that's really cool to see that side of his character.
LVP.
My LVP is gonna be Cordelia, cause I don't know. She's been slacking the last couple of years. Like, absolutely. She couldn't save Queenie. I know she tried.
Like, barely. Like,
she couldn't save Queenie. The whole thing with Missy Day, and I was just like, girl, like, I feel like you're getting old now. Like,
you're getting tired. You should retire.
And I just didn't like how fearful she was of their request to do the test. Like, it was just even beyond like, oh no, like men just can't do this. It was like she was scared of the unknown, of this guy.
You're right.
He might be the new supreme, and I didn't respect that, because I was like, girl, if you're the queen, like, you shouldn't be scared of anything.
Yeah, for sure. I think that her approach to that particular situation definitely made me lose a lot of respect for her. Because we know Cordelia as a powerful woman who was able to, bring all these witches together. But to see this side of her that's not, I won't say corrupt, but like a little bit, what is it? Like elitist? Like, she acts as if like she's the best of the best. Like, she literally calls herself the supreme. Like, like, I get it. You think that you're the shit, which you probably are, but you should probably let everybody kind of have a moment together. And she does kind of say it at the end. She was like, I want to make sure that we're all protected. We protect our kind, but I'm still the supreme, is essentially her last line. So I was like, so you don't really give a shit about the warlocks. You're just saying, like, we're all in this together, but I'm still the best. Because I don't think I have an LVP outside of her, because realistically there's nobody else that really sucked as hard as she did this episode. She definitely showed her weaknesses this episode, which I was kind of disappointed about. I was definitely more excited to see.
It's been a couple of years, so of course it's understandable, right? Like, she's gonna lose her powers over the years. It happened.
I really hope that she has redeeming moments like in the future tense, and it seems that she's going to.
Well, that's
because
what I mean.
She's bringing her coven back together, so hopefully she doesn't like lose too many points before that all happens.
Something happens to her next week.
Oh gosh, I don't want to know.
The best line.
So I had two best lines, and my first one, we already talked about it, was that moment where she was like, men are simply not equal to women when it comes to magical ability. Testosterone is a known inhibitor. It impedes access to the ethereal realm. And I was like, yo, that's a crazy like justification as to why men aren't superior in the magical world. I was like, you killed it. That was amazing. But I think it is kind of true for a lot of things. I feel like that testosterone, like that ego gets in the way of a lot of things and like a lot of judgment. So I feel like it like kind of crosses over into like the real world. So that was pretty epic. And then just like the last part, I had to say it because I was like, it was just for J-Lag. But when what's her name? Why did I forget her name? Frances Conroy's character. Myrtle, she's like, the feral stench of unwashed boy makes Bourbon Street smell like Chanel No. 5. And like, guys, when we went to New Orleans, I literally told J-Lag, I was like, Bourbon Street smells like piss and throw up and like every single like rancid smell you could ever think of. So like for her to say that it smelled worse than Bourbon Street, I was like, oh my god, I love that reference. I died.
And she's so sassy. Like, she has the cuttest lines ever.
And like the fact that she's comparing to Chanel No. 5, I was like, wow, Scream Queens, like, hello.
Yeah, it's all like connecting together.
It's all coming together.
So good.
Yeah.
So I have a couple lines too. I think the first one is from Myrtle Snow as well, where she says, I always thought the world was going to end with fire and ice, not witches and warlocks.
Yeah.
It's definitely setting you up for how the whole season, I think, is going to be going into that more,
I wonder if it was like a Game of Thrones like reference too.
True.
Probably not.
Fair
Probably
enough.
not.
Fair enough. So there's like that connection. And then the next one was Cordelia simply saying, because I'm the fucking supreme.
Yeah.
Just because, there's so much power in that line, and I was like, yes, bitch, but also like, yes, bitch, question mark? Because I was like,
that's the thing. It was so... I loved it.
There was so much fear in her in that moment because she got so angry. It was almost like she was threatened when she had to say that.
For sure.
It wasn't
and that's
like
what I mean. Like,
because
when she said it,
bitch,
I was like, wow, like what a sick line. And then like even AHS's like Twitter, like they tweeted it out too. But then I thought about it and I was like, wait, like, yeah, you are the supreme, but like prove it again. Like you're gonna have to prove yourself every like year and like show that you are supreme, Like you've been losing Queenie in that hotel. Like that's not supreme level,
girl,
magic.
On Recap Rewind, you are not our MVP. So get it together.
I think I'm ready for Mallory's story. Like I know I said it last week, and like we didn't really get much this week. We got like her little like magic part there, but I think I'm ready to like see exactly like who she is.
I am too. I think we are getting little bits and pieces, like just enough every episode to keep us going through the rest of the season. It's only episode 4, so I feel like we're gonna definitely get a lot more.
And I think next week's gonna be Cordelia, so I don't think they're gonna even get to her.
Right. I don't know. We'll see. I think there's still a lot of mystery around her. We're not really sure. A lot of people online are saying, she could be more than just a witch. Like, there's a lot of theories that are out there. So it'll be really interesting to see. And just like, I think it's the same kind of connection like Michael, right? Like, they're saying that he's more than just a warlock. He's not just a regular warlock. And like
a lot of our audience too like has commented and said like, it could be like a devil versus angel kind of story there, because they've never really like explored that, right?
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
If he's the devil and she's an angel, like who knows?
And it's very much like the apocalypse, end of times, like
exactly
fire and hell and whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, I can definitely see that happening.
You know what, guys? I'm loving this season. Like I'm so shocked at how much I love it.
I'm loving it so much. It's so entertaining.
Because like Jayla, I watched it twice. That's how much I enjoy it. Like I watched it twice over because like as I'm waiting for J-Lag, I'm like, you know what, I'm just gonna watch it again. And like because I genuinely like enjoy every moment. It's so fast paced. There's so much content, and like it just, it flies by.
It's definitely really entertaining.
Yeah.
At least right now. I mean, we've seen in the past, I'd say like 2-3 seasons of AHS where by the end of the series, like it kind of tapers off. So it'll be interesting to see how this all ends off, because usually they started
but
off
I have
really,
to
really
say,
strong.
I'm still enjoying this way more than I did like the beginning of Cult, even, you know?
100%. I mean, there's magic and like warlocks and witches. Like what more can you ask for? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's all good in my books. All right, guys, let us know what you guys think about this season. What are you thinking so far? What did you think about the episode? Make sure you guys comment in the comments below.
In the comments. And
in
that's
the comments.
Thanks for listening.
Bye.
Bye.